Hey guys, Jeff here, bringing you another guide. Today we're going to be talking about the Fire Mage, patch 4.3. As usual, we do our best to keep this as short as possible, so let's get to it. Let's begin by discussing the stat priority list for a Fire Mage. First on the list we have Intellect. Intellect gives us more spell power, mana, and it also increases our critical strike rating. After that, you want to make sure you're hit capped. The hit cap is 17%. Next we have Spell Power. Spell Power will increase the amount of damage that your spells can do. Next you want to go for Haste. Not only does Haste increase the amount of ticks that our dots can do, but it also reduces the cast time of our spells. Down below is a chart which will show you the amount of haste required for an additional tick. Next on the list, once you've achieved your desired haste, you want to go for Crit. Not only does Crit put a dot on our target that can deal additional damage over time, it also gives our spells a chance of dealing extra damage. Last on the list we have Mastery. Mastery increases all fire periodic damage by a certain percent. This is the least favorite stat for the moment and will be reforged most of the time. Now let's talk about gemming. Do not ignore the socket bonus if the bonus is at least plus 20 intellect. If the bonus is not this, then go ahead and ignore the socket bonus by gemming a plus 50 intellect gem. Now that we've discussed this, let's talk about how you should gem if the bonus is at least plus 20 intellect. For every red socket, you're going to want plus 50 intellect. For every yellow socket, you can do plus 25 intellect and plus 25 haste. Or you can go for plus 25 intellect and plus 25 crit as the second option. For every blue socket, you're going to want plus 25 intellect and plus 25 hit. And for the meta gem, you're going to need plus 54 intellect and 3% increase critical effect. Next, let's talk about your enchants. For your head slot, you're going to want plus 60 intellect and 35 critical strike rating. On your shoulders, 130 intellect and plus 25 haste rating. For your back piece, plus 50 intellect. And for your chest piece, plus 20 to all stats. For your bracers, plus 50 intellect. And for your gloves, plus 50 haste rating. Don't forget to add a belt buckle. This will allow you to socket an extra gem. On your legs, you're going to want 95 intellect and plus 80 stamina. On your boots, plus 50 haste rating, or if you're not hit capped, you can go for the alternative, which is plus 50 hit rating. On your weapon, you're going to have Power Torrent, and if you're using an offhand, we're going to go ahead and throw plus 40 intellect for your offhand. Next, let's talk about reforging. Once you've reached the hit cap, ask yourself this question. Does the piece have haste on it? If it doesn't, reforge into haste. But if it does, then ask yourself this next question. Does the piece have crit on it? If it doesn't, reforge into crit. But if it does, then there's no need to reforge because the piece has both haste and crit on it. For example, on my helmet I have hit and I have crit, but I don't have haste. So I went ahead and reforged my crit into haste. Over here on my boots, I have hit and I have haste, but I don't have crit. So I went ahead and reforged haste into crit. If you think you have enough extra hit, go ahead and reforge your hit into crit instead of your haste. Remember, Mastery is the least favorite stat, so it's going to get reforged most of the time. Next, let's talk about the priority rotation of a Fire Mage. First on the list we have Critical Mass. This places a debuff on our target, increasing their chance to be critically hit by our spells by 5%. Next on the list we have Hot Streak. Our critical strikes with Fireball, Frost Firebolt, Pyroblast, Scorch, and Fire Blast have a chance to make our next pyroblast be instant and cost no mana at all for the next 15 seconds. This is what Hot Streak does, and we should use it whenever it's available. Next on the list we have Living Bomb. We should keep this up at all times, but only reapply it after it's exploded. After that we have Flame Orb. We should keep this on cooldown by using it whenever it's available. Next on the list we have Fireball. This is our filler, and we should use it if none of the above are available. Last on the list we have Scorch. This should only be used under heavy movement. Next, let's talk about your cooldowns. Combustion is a 2-minute cooldown that deals initial damage and creates a new dot dealing damage equal to the sum of your current periodic fire effects on the target over the next 10 seconds. So in other words, you only want to use Combustion if Ignite, Living Bomb, and your Pyroblast dot is present on the target. If you have any trinkets, go ahead and use those as well because they can also increase your DPS. Next to that we have Mirror Image. This is a 3-minute cooldown, and what it does is it creates 3 copies of the caster, transferring all of his or her aggro to the copies, and they also do a little extra damage on the side. Ideally, you want to use this to reset all of your aggro. Next to that, we have Mana Gem, which we will use to keep a constant supply of mana. Over here we have Evocation. This is a 4-minute cooldown, and should also be used to help maintain your mana. Last on our list here of cooldowns we have Time Warp. This is a 5-minute cooldown that increases all melee, ranged, and spell casting speed by 30% for all party and raid members for the next 40 seconds. Knowing the fight can help determine the best time to use this ability. That about sums it all up. If you found this video to be helpful in any way, don't forget to subscribe, like, favorite, or even comment down below if you have any questions about the video. If you would like to view the spec and glyphs that I highly recommend, go ahead and click on the link down below in the description box. And remember, friends don't let friends do bad DPS, so spread the word.